All right, if everyone can find their seats, we're going to begin in a few minutes, or a few seconds. Show that picture when you get pulled over, Rick.
It's allowed? Hey, Chief, I want a photo real quick.
All right, everyone, if we can come back to order where we convene. Next on our agenda, under presentations, is item 2, presentation of a proclamation declaring March 2023 as March for Meals Month. If I could ask the Senior Center President, Stephanie Codling, and Councilmember Overton / Executive Director of the Senior Center, and also David to come down to the podium. That's right. You're important. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming down and being a part of our presentation for this proclamation for Meals on Wheels. Ms. Overton, if you would like to introduce your board.
Hi, yes, we have our board president, Stephanie Codling, our treasurer, who takes care of all our finances, make sure we're doing it right, Joyce Adams, our secretary, Michael Snelling. Of course, we know David is our one of our board members now, but he's our past president. And we appreciate, he kind of got us into the era of the new days. So we actually have websites and Facebooks and all that stuff. So we thank him very much because it's really helped us out on the communication with our public. This is Michelle Allen, and she's a board member. We have one board member that is missing, Anita. She is home not feeling well. So she is our vice president. Oh, what was your name again? Camille Cummins, who is one of our new board members also. So I have to say, I have an awesome staff here at the board here. They really kicked in. David came in when I wanted to try to upgrade us and make us like into the 21st century, and I knew nothing, and he came in and helped us get that going. It's been a great asset for us to have that communication with the public, because now they can email us, see what we have on our menus, check out some resources, and not always having to just call us, which we get swamped with calls anyway. So it has deterred some of that off of that, so I really appreciate. Michael has been sitting on and off. She moved away for a little while, but when she came back, I grabbed her again. And she's been on our board for as long as I've been around. How long had you sat on the board? Yeah, so she's been there and very dedicated. So Joyce Adams has been on the board for, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? We're going on there. Yeah, so then we have some new ones, but they all contribute and help us. So I appreciate every one of them and their support, that they support me and help us. Our center is getting better, and it's because of this board and their direction and helping me make that happen. So I do appreciate them. So they deserve all the hand, really, because without their direction, I can't do anything, because they don't tell me I can't. So I appreciate them.
That's the way it works, right?
It is the way it works.
All right. Thank you, Madam Executive Director. Well, as I said, March is March for Meals Month. Meals on Wheels is an amazing program, but it's more than just a delivery service or food preparation service. Oftentimes it can be a lifeline. All of us in a small community oftentimes wear many hats. And in a couple other hats that I wore, I was able to see the good work of the Meals on Wheels drivers when rescue was called to revive their clients who had fallen or succumbed to an illness and had no one else to check on them. And had it not been for that Meals on Wheels driver, they probably would not have made it another day. So life-saving is another big part of Meals on Wheels, and just the friendship that is created. So with that, I'd like to read this proclamation from the council from the city of Clearlake. Whereas on March 22nd, 1972, President Richard M. Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older American Act of 1965 and established a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years of age and older. Whereas Meals on Wheels Association of America established a national March for Meals campaign in March 2002 to recognize the historic month and importance of Older Americans Act senior nutrition programs and raise awareness about senior hunger in America. Whereas in 2023 observance of the March Meals for Wheels campaign provides an opportunity to support senior nutrition programs that deliver vital and critical services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger. Whereas volunteer drivers for the Meals on Wheels programs in Clearlake are the backbone of the program and are not only delivering nutritious meals to homebound seniors and individuals with disabilities, but also caring, concern, and attention to their welfare. Whereas senior nutrition programs provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout the city and help them to avoid premature and unnecessary institutionalization. And whereas senior nutrition programs also provide a powerful socialization opportunity for millions of seniors to help combat loneliness and isolation. Whereas senior nutrition programs in Clearlake deserve recognition for their contributions they have made and will continue to make in our local community. Now, therefore, the City of Clearlake City Council does hereby proclaim March 2023 as March for Meals Month and urges every citizen to take time this month to honor our senior nutrition programs, the seniors they serve, and the volunteers who care for them. Our recognition and involvement of the National 2023 Meals for Wheels campaign can enrich our entire community and help end senior hunger in America so no senior will go hungry. Dated this second day of March 2023, provided by the City Council for the City of Clearlake. Ms. Codling, may I present this to you? Would you like to dance? There you are. You may, I was going to offer the President, do you have anything you'd like to add, Madam President? I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, of course you don't. And a phenomenal job of to be. And I encourage every and meet other people and thankful, so thankful that we have so many that Meals on Wheels. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
We have a website.
Yes, and a wonderful website. And
Clearlake.org.
City of Clear.
Is there something coming? Talk about
So, yes. Unfortunately, we have to have money to run these meals. Just a $5 donation, but unfortunately in our area, most people realize that for he's a senior, for a whole year. 5 days. That's really not much. That's most of our paychecks. So feed a senior, a person in our country for a whole year. That's almost unheard of. So I want really people can go online. They can donate on our website, which is HSSC, our acronyms, clearlake.org. There's a donation button there. $5. That pays per meal. We'll take it. Everything counts. So we are having a fundraiser on March 25th. It's our annual hoedown that we normally have later on in the year, but we've decided to move it to March because everybody else has theirs. So please, our tickets are only $40. So it's not much. We're trying to keep prices low. We actually lowered it than what we had last year to try to help people because we know that everybody's still having hard times. So, but this is the way we raise our money to keep our programs going. Without the community support, this won't be successful. We've been lucky that the pandemic happened because of the pandemic, we're still here because we were closing before the pandemic, but because of the funding and our local Rotary Club and LARCA kept us going until we got some federal and state funding. But that's going away. So now we have to look at what are we going to do to keep our programs going. So I really do encourage that you guys come in and enjoy a dinner and a dance, good old hold down, just a good old country barn dance is what we're going to have. You don't have to dress up. Just come as you are and have a good time. Meet some new people. We're going to do some line dancing, so you don't even have to bring a partner. You can come by yourself if you have to, you know. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible and just have a nice good time, nice get out, just fundraiser to help keep our programs going. We also started a pause program because, you know, many of our seniors during the pandemic was feeding their food to their animals. You know, these are things that were, it helps keep them have purpose, you know, it makes them have purpose. This is how they live. Without their animals, they just, you know, they'd be lost and probably pass away just by not, you know, wanting to live. So, you know, so we do have a pause program, and, you know, we need support for that. We don't have a lot of funding for that, but we're trying to keep it going. You know, we get little donations here and there, but so you can always donate to that, and that's what part of the fundraising that we're doing for this event will also go to. So help us feed their animals and feed them. So, and we appreciate all the support that we have gotten, especially from our local clubs and stuff. Have been grateful. You know, we've been very grateful for all that. So thank you. I know I'm long here today.
You're long-winded. That's okay. We're used to it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for your indulgence as we got through our presentations. They were very important. Next on our agenda is public comment. Public comment is a time for any member of the public to address the City Council on any matter not on tonight's agenda within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow council members or staff to discuss issues brought before the council for public comment. So we cannot answer your questions or address you at that time. Concerns may be referenced to staff or placed on the next available agenda. So please remember that comments are limited to 3 minutes each. And with that, I will open this item. Is there anyone here wishing to make public comment? I do have a written request by Mr. Alan Markowski. Thank you. Sorry about that. Please come up, Mr. Markowski. Wants to talk to us tonight about air quality.
My name is Alan Joseph Markowski. I want to talk about the subject of air quality. One of the reasons I moved to Lake County was because of the air quality. Moved here in the fall of 1999, but since then the air quality has gone down tremendously. If nobody has noticed with the fires and recently the stuff that's been happening with the weather here. I was the manager of the station a while back. It was called a conspiracy video. It was called White Haze and Jet Trails. It was by Tom Slate. He's a member of TV8, as it was then called. I had lots of videos come through the station, and I learned a lot about things that I didn't know of before until I came to the station. Tom introduced me to the subject of White Haze and Jet Trails. It was a movie that talked about geoengineering. And I investigated that as time went on, more and more, because I was a gardener, and I noticed the soil was changing, the pH was changing. So that was the thing that first connected me. But I presented for you to look at your own leisure. I'll be back again because I came familiar with this geoengineering. It's something that's in the news today. So investigate it for yourself. You'll have the papers, and I'll be back here again. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the council at this time under public comment? Please step forward. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone in the Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were filming.
Oh, yeah. Do you have to fill out a paperwork to?
No, sir. Just step to the microphone, introduce yourself, and if you're a resident of Clearlake.
All right. How's it going, everybody? I'm Alan Cohn. I am a resident of Clearlake. I just want to say I'm really thankful for being here. I like what you guys have done in the following years. I've been here for 7 years. I've seen a lot of improvements in the community. I've seen a lot of friendly interaction between, police, cops, and law enforcement, peace officers, period, like in the public. I know it's a lot of riffraff that goes on and stuff, but I see it's a change in, the way that, they deal with this riffraff, because, mental health is a thing, and just raising awareness about it. People could be under a mental condition and they would not even know. So I just want to say thank you guys for being here. I'm glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to seeing more city council groups. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wanting to address the council under public comment? This is your time. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any member of the council wish to pull an item or discuss an item on the consent agenda? Mr. Floor, any changes to consent agenda? Is there a member of the public that would like to pull an item from our consent agenda for discussion? And last, anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
May I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Vice Mayor Claffey. All those in favor? Aye.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to business. Item 6, consideration of appointment of 2 planning commissioners to fill the terms ending in March 2027. I'm elated to see we have 4 applicants. We had 5, one pulled his application. So if I could just go over how this is going to work. Give me a second. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go in alphabetical order by the names of those applicants. Our first candidate will be Jamie DeWalt, because D is one of the beginning letters of the alphabet. And we're going to ask the other applicants to step into a soundproof booth while we're interviewing our first candidate. All the candidates will get the same questions in the same order without variation. And with that, I'd like to excuse the 3 candidates, Christopher Ingalls, Carlos Ramos, and Jack Smalley, to the soundproof booth. All right, Ms. DeWalt, would you like to step up to the podium? Thank you for your application. Planning Commission is something that I don't think a lot of our community is aware, just the function of the Planning Commission, but is a very intricate and integral part of the operations of the city. With that and with this process, we're going to try to learn a little through these questions we're going to ask, a little bit about you, some of your vision for the city, and again, hopefully it won't be too stressful.
Okay, thank you.
So take your time. If you need a water, let us know or something like that. And with that, let me get started. First question. Tell us about your qualifications and why you would be a good choice for planning commissioners. It's a 2-part. And then what skills, qualities, experience, or education you possess that would allow you to hit the ground running if you're appointed. Go ahead.
The first one again.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So actually, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, maybe the street you live on,
Okay,
how many
Jamie.
years you've lived here.
Okay, Jamie DeWalt. I've been here for 26 years.
Okay.
I work at a local bank here, and I've been there for 20 years. And I just watch you guys on the TV, and I know you all, and I watch the Planning Commission, and I know all the events that are happening here, and I like all the growth that's happening. and I'd like to help with the growth here in the
Thank you.
community.
So, yeah, just tell us about your qualifications and why you would be a good choice for planning commissioner.
I think that I would be more just neutral, see what has been given, and look at the paperwork and help with the team in making a decision.
And do you have any skills or qualities, experience or education that would allow you to hit the ground running if selected?
No, this would be new learning for me, and I think
Okay.
it would be a good challenge for me.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor?
So a planning commissioner's primary responsibility is to make land use decisions that are consistent with the policies and plans formally adopted by the city council. Do you know what documents guide the policies and plans of the city?
I would need to read the documents, and unfortunately, no, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kramer?
Okay. This, DeWalt, what do you know about the current projects of the city?
Okay, I know
Projects that are going on in the city
we're-
now?
We're building a big giant sports center, which is very exciting, or it's going. And I know about all of the stuff that's happened in the park, which is really good, because I'm there every time there's a show, I'm there. And just, I know that if you do a permit, if the business person wants a permit, we look at the permit process and decide on it and read all the material.
Okay. Ms. Overton, I guess?
Number 4.
Okay, so Jeff here. Do you have a defined idea about, or have you taken a public census on any current projects in the city?
Taking a public census, what do you mean?
Stance.
Or a stance, just a
Stance,
stance on what you do, is there something you know,
That I
like really
like or
gonna
don't like, or
say, like,
something?
is there a project going that you're like, no, I don't want, or yeah, I do want, or?
No, I like all the projects currently that are going on in the city. I don't see any negative projects in the city.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Slutin?
Are there other planning projects or issues that you have concerns about or that you feel are important planning issues facing the city of Clear Lake?
Currently, I'm unaware of issues.
Thank you.
So the agenda for a planning commission meeting is, these are big projects. They're sometimes hundreds of pages long. What would be your process to thoroughly prepare for a planning commission meeting, to have a quality conversation?
I would have to read all of the paperwork and then ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions from the other council members. And I'd learn. This is new. I think it would be a great learning experience for me.
Okay. Have you attended a planning commission meeting?
No,
If-
but I watch them on YouTube.
Pardon?
I
On
watch them
Zoom?
on YouTube.
Okay. If not, okay. So that answered that one. I don't have to go to number 2, or part 2 on that. But you have watched them on Zoom?
I've watched them on YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
Overton? Yep.
Okay, what would you do as a planning commissioner if you were unsure of how to vote on a particular issue? And how would you handle a decision that you did not agree on?
Well, I would definitely ask a lot of questions. And can you say the last part again?
If you were unsure on how to vote on a particular issue, which you answered, and how would you
Yeah.
handle if a decision that you did not agree with, like somebody, the vote went through, they decided that it's going to go through, but you don't agree with it, you voted no on it, how would you handle it?
It would just go through. There's nothing you can do about that.
Good for you.
If you were asked to sit on a city council ad hoc or subcommittee such as homelessness issues or commercial cannabis ad hocs, what would you do to prepare for this assignment?
Would there be material that I would need to read for that assignment?
I would assume so.
I would, yeah, so I would read the material and then, of course, ask people who are existing on boards how they would, ask for assistance and guidance. Like I said, this is new for me, so a lot of learning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, and now it's back to me, so.
Oh, okay.
The last question
I
of the evening
regress.
is, you've shared with us, you like some of our visions and things
Oh,
that have been
yes.
happening in the city. We'd like to know what your vision for the future of Clearlake would be.
I'd like to see more growth, the same things that is happening, you know, a lot of stuff in the park for the youth, for everyone. That's what I like, is everything that's happening is for everyone. I really like the sports complex that hopefully goes, because I'm excited about that. Housing's an issue, homelessness is an issue. I have a lot of things in my head about homelessness that I'd like to see if we can work on.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it, we're done. Okay,
You can
thank
breathe now.
Okay,
Breathe
thank
now.
you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
You can stay. You can stay. Yeah.
Yeah, we've already interviewed you. You're done. No second chances.
Good evening, Mr. Ingles. Thank you again for your application. If you would, please introduce yourself and maybe what part of the city you live in, and then I have a question for you.
Okay. My name is Chris Inglis. I'll introduce myself. I married into here 30 years ago. We bought into here 20 years ago, and we're here now as of 2020. We're taking our retirement. Who knows when I'll really retire? But we live on Monitor Point.
Okay.
So.
Very good. So first question I have for you is, tell us about your qualifications and why you would be a good choice for a planning commissioner. And then second part of that question is, what skills, qualities, experience, or education do you possess that would allow you to hit the ground running if you were appointed?
I'll start with the second part.
Okay.
For skills and qualities that would allow me to hit the ground running.
Okay.
First of all, forgive me for this. I woke up with this yesterday. It's an impermanent condition. I've had to practice my P's in the mirror today, and it's
No problem,
anyway,
sir.
That's it. I plan for a living. I'm a certified financial planner. I have been working with families for 40 years, and literally what I do all week long is listen to people, take in the data, put a plan, discuss it with the plan, and then over the years, help them implement the plan, help them stick to the plan, make revisions when necessary, listen to them when time changes. And I did look at the description of this job, and I did talk to some friends of mine that are in municipal finance and would know more about this. My brother as well, who is a dean at Stanford University Real Estate, just to see if this would be a fit. And they felt with my background that it would be. I am facile with numbers and things, but in my other life, I'm a musician, and the three things that you look to when you bring in somebody into a group is diligence, it's talent, and it's what I like to say, go along, get along. I don't know about the talent because I've never done this before. But I do have diligence, and I do show up prepared, and I do attend to those things. And over the last, say, 40 years, I've learned a lot of the go along, get along much better than when I was perhaps a younger man. But I do tend to work well in groups. I have a team of people with whom I work every day. A lot of it's obviously been on Zoom because I work up here now. So I'm capable of that as well. And the first part of the question is what background qualities, what my CV kind of?
Any qualifications?
Yeah. I'm a certified financial planner. I have a degree in economics from Davis. I go Ags. So as I said, I've been working in conjunction with other people to try to create a forward look and to try to hold to that forward look for families for 40 years. I have clients that I've had since 1982 that still work with me, and their kids work with me, and now their grandkids are coming in to work with me. So I'm sorry, I'm not selling you on my current job.
All right.
I apologize. That last little bit.
This is your time to shine, sir.
Yeah, so.
All right, Vice Mayor.
I think I'd be capable to handle the work and the workload. because I work daytimes, the meeting times work, and I have plenty of time at night to be able to study and put through the work that would
Thank
be
you, sir.
needed.
Vice Mayor.
So the planning commissioner's primary responsibility is to make land use decisions based on the policies and plans formally adopted by the city council. Do you know what documents guide those policies and plans for the city?
Well, I would suppose Chapter 8 of the overall plan would be the main thing, the housing element. I mean, that seems to be what's online and what's published. I know that the city has an overall overarching plan. It was revised through 2014-19. I know that the Chapter 8, the housing portion, was kind of finalized in 2017. I've seen a lot of good things happen since 2014 and 2017 since I've been up here. So it feels like there is a plan. I haven't read every single document on it. I did peruse the 390 pages on the Chapter 8 because I know nothing. So everything I read is new to me. Outside of the fact that I do pick up some stuff by reading the paper and driving around and asking questions. So, did that answer it, David? Yeah, or Mr. Vice Mayor, sorry.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kramer.
What do you know about current projects that are happening in the city?
A couple of Burns Valley projects. Obviously, there's the hotel. And right now I think we're at the point of you have received back mitigation factors, and we've turned in and tried negative mitigation, and now you're reacting and mitigating some of the negative things that have come up, and we're in that stage. I know that there's the sports complex and soon to be maybe muni buildings and police storage and other things. I know that there's been a pregnancy center last year, and there was a cannabis dispensary, cannabis distribution, but mainly, I guess, the Burns Valley 2 projects, the hotel project, the old airport project, Pierce Field, and the current one near the senior center, the sports complex. I would like to put in a personal plea for a pool. I'm a swimmer, and I wish there was a really good pool up here. That would be a bias that I would have towards a pool.
Use some of that financial planning to get us money for that.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay, do you have a defined idea about, or have you taken a public stance on any current projects in the city?
No, but I tend to like them. I tend to like what I see so far. I haven't seen anything where I go, that's just ridiculous. Honestly, I really only paid attention in the last 10 years since I've been more of a landholder up here and spending more and more time up here. And now that I'm here permanently, hell yeah, nothing in the last 2 years really hits me poorly.
Good, that means we're
but
doing
I
a good
don't know
job,
any
right?
details. I haven't heard enough to make an informed decision.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Slogan.
Are there other planning projects on issues that you have concerns about or that you feel are important planning issues facing the city of Clearlake?
Growth. We need to grow. we need to continue improving. I have no specific project that I think would help, but I think you would consider me somebody that would be hopeful that we can continue to grow. I wouldn't mind, there's some other issues that have nothing to do with the planning commission, such as a hospital district, or a healthcare facilities district, or I wish they had redevelopment agencies, something we could do along those lines. But we're on a good course right now. I mean, maybe I'm biased because we have roads now that are amazing, but there's also the element, there's a lot of poverty in this county too, and that kind of, you can't just put that aside. That has to be considered in just about everything you're doing. And I know obviously there's some low-cost housing going in the one of the Burns Valley projects, but it feels we're underhoused, but I don't think that's a Lake County only problem. So honestly, priorities for me would be growth, but also with an eye towards making sure that people don't get left
Thank you, sir.
aside.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Some staff reports, the agenda that the Planning Commission receives, those staff reports are hundreds of pages long. You just admitted that you only perused the 300 plus, I'm kidding. What would you do, knowing that these are big projects, what would you do to thoroughly prepare for a Planning Commission meeting?
Well, my perusal is pretty thorough. So I suppose that wasn't a wise choice of words. I can't show up to meetings unprepared. I'm physically incapable of doing that. So anything that would be talked about, I would have to know about. I read voraciously. I mean, I read everything and anything. I mean, anything. And plus, what I do for a living is I do have to listen and read documents and prepare documents, you know, and they are, not to mention the amount of continuing education that is required of us. We have to prepare for all that. But I suppose the question is, would I have a problem with mass quantities of paperwork? And the answer is no. I already do that. Okay. And I'm able to make conclusions about things too with just numbers. I mean, not without asking more questions, but I can at least come up with questions.
That's for sure. Have you attended a planning commission meeting?
I have not.
Okay.
Not here.
Okay, well, what is your plan if appointed to become familiar with the process?
Show up and read everything that I'm given. I don't know any other way other than to dive in. I freely admit I have never had anything to do with this in my background. I do think I'm capable. And honestly, this is a chance for service that I think is something that fits my skills. But no, I haven't sat in on a meeting. I know very little. That's why I had to ask my friends that are in meetings all the time, what is this about? Tell me about it. Would this fit? Does it make any sense? Because I read, it popped up on the radar, and the more I looked into it, the more I felt it would fit. And there really hasn't been a meeting since, I don't think, December. And before that, it was, there weren't a whole lot of them last year, but I probably, if there could have been one every week, and I wouldn't have gone, I'm sorry. It didn't enter my consciousness until just recently, when I started entertaining the idea.
Thank you for your honesty on that.
Back to me. What would you do as a planning commissioner if you were unsure of how to vote on a particular issue? Let's answer that one first. I got a second part.
Great question. Well, I am in my Medicare year, so I have had decisions to make in my life that were knife edge 50-50 questions. A lot of the answers I would actually do sound silly. I would meditate. I would pray a bit. But more than that, I'd probably take a hike up to the top of Crestview and think about it more. I would also probably ask for a lot more information. If I can't make a decision, then either there are two good options or I don't have enough information.
And then how would you handle a decision that you did not agree with? Like, there's a vote, you vote no, they all vote yes, you don't really agree on it. How would you handle that? Congratulate
them for winning 4-1. Or whatever it is. I don't know. I believe there are 5 seated members.
We wouldn't see any fights, right?
No. Too old for that.
Good.
I don't know that ever would have been me. I would have tried to joke about it and convince them to come over to my way of thinking. I like to think I'm on the other side, though.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Slooten.
All right. If you were asked to sit on a city council ad hoc committee or a subcommittee such as homelessness issues, commercial cannabis issues, what would you do to prepare for this assignment?
Read. I would have to research it. Obviously, if there is a committee, there's a committee chair that could help guide me to what information I would need. I would have to get up to snuff on whatever the subject was. take homelessness. I wouldn't know enough about that. I could sound like I know a lot about it, but I wouldn't. I would have to do a lot of reading. I'd have to look at some numbers and see where we are, and then, of course, we'd have to figure out how to pay for it. That would. I'm not sure that answered your question. I feel like I kind of missed.
You're good.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
So, in conclusion, you've talked a little bit about your appreciation for, our vision and things that are currently happening in the city. We'd like to hear from you. What is your vision for the future of Clearlake?
Besides the pool and 2 really good restaurants, I would like to see this to be a safe place. It just popped into my head with the $1,000 that only 2 people took advantage of, the $1,000 scholarship that you get for the junior college students at the Woodland, at the local college, for example, things like that. I would love to see things like that. I heard about Joyce and others doing Meals on Wheels, the gentleness with which the seniors are handled that I've seen only just showing up to the breakfast and a couple other times. For the city, I think it would be also to get their credit facilities and ability to borrow and ability to receive grants from the state. I would love to be able to dig into some of those solutions as a way to pay for a kinder, I don't want to say kinder, gentler, but this, there's a spirit here that, and it smells a lot better up here too, but there's a spirit here that's different than on the peninsula. I look at all the people that are serving here. There's like the level of service per person up here is insane. The room of people that was here, all the service that's there, it's different. When I'm in charge of doing the volunteer work for our company, for our branch down there. We have to sign up months in advance. It's all very as opposed to the hands-on level, and I would love to see that. Just if we could take that spirit somehow and continue to make civic municipal progress. Like getting our credit rating up and just, practical things, in addition to the kind of the quality of life things. I would like to see better access to some of those mobile showers. Okay. That would be helpful. There are a lot of little things that could be done, but in general, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your participation in this process. You're welcome to stay if you'd like here in the gallery, or you're free to leave.
I think I'll sit in the gallery. Thank you.
Mr. Flora.
This guy's really good, by the way.
How funny. That must be Jack, right?
He knows a hell of a lot more about this than I do.
Yes, he does. You're the hot spot.
Good evening, sir. If you wouldn't mind, if you could introduce yourself and let us know where you live in the city of Clear Lake.
My name is Jack Smalley. I live at 3828 Oakland Avenue.
Welcome, sir. This is going to be kind of a simple process. We're just going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to start off with the first one.
Okay.
Actually, why don't you tell us a little bit how long you lived here?
We've owned the house in Clear Lake for a year and a half. My daughter's lived there the whole time. I've moved in with her about 4 months ago or so. Lived in Lake County for 26 years, 27 years. Made my career here.
There you go. So tell us about your qualifications and why you'd be a good choice for planning commissioner.
Well, I am the plans examiner for the county, been the building official twice for the county. I know the area plans for the different jurisdictions around the county. Not quite familiar with the Clear Lake one, but I've done a lot of that kind of stuff, design review stuff, all that.
Very good. And second part of this question is, what skills, qualities, experience, education do you possess that would allow you to hit the ground running if you were appointed? I think you kind of touched on it.
Yeah, I have the ICC R3 certification, the ICC B3 certification, multiple FEMA certifications and things like that. I have Cal OES. I have a stack of certifications. So,
Thank you for your candid answer. Appreciate
yes.
it. Mr. Vice Mayor.
So the planning commissioner's primary responsibility is to make land use decisions consistent with the policies and plans of the city council. What documents would you use to guide your decisions to ensure that those policy and plans are adhered to?
Zoning ordinances. I know. I'm sure you guys have GIS just like we do. We use GIS. We use the zoning ordinances to see what the zoning the property is would be the first step. Then you can go from there of what's allowed according to the zoning ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Smalley, I got to ask, is it, this is a little, it was on the first one, you mentioned the area plans in the county. How old are those area plans? This doesn't count for this, by the way, but I got to ask.
Some of those things are very old.
They're all,
and they're updated.
they're all very old.
Yeah, they're all very old. We have area plan updates and all that happens occasionally too.
I'm right in the middle of that. The real question to ask is, what do you know about the current projects of the city?
Well, I know about the projects behind Safeway. I know the planned gas station up by Jack in the Box. I know of a couple things at the airport. I've had some discussions with other members sitting in here about some of those projects as well. So I know of all the housing and everything that's going on around. And, that you guys, the city of Clear Lake is actually pushing for some good housing, and I really appreciate that. Being in my position where I'm at.
Thank you.
Okay, so far, do you have a defined idea about, or have you ever taken a public stance on any current projects in the city?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Slogan.
So mine was simple and short.
Are there other planning projects or issues that you have concerns about? Or any current that you feel are important planning issues facing the city of Clear Lake?
I don't really see any planning issues facing the city of Clear Lake. Like I said, I do appreciate the direction the city's going in with housing. It's a much needed aspect of the city, actually everywhere, the state. So, I don't have any negative comments on where I see the city's going so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The agenda for a planning commission meeting is typically long. A staff report could be 700 pages. What would you do to thoroughly prepare yourself for a meeting where you'd have to make a decision?
Well, as soon as you get that, you have to start going through it immediately, So I have access to different programs that actually read those kind of things to me, even if I needed to. So, I have office. I have my office at work. I have office at home and all that, and I'm always there, available to go through these. And like you say, these staff reports can be quite long. Sometimes I see them all the time. You just have to buckle down and get through them.
Thank you.
Back to me. Have you attended a planning commission meeting?
I watch them every other Thursday
Planning
for the
commission?
county.
The county. Have you attended or watched one of
I've
ours?
seen a couple of these. Haven't attended too many of the ones for Clear Lake, but I do stay on top of some of those for the county.
Okay, I'm going to just assume the county processes are different, although they probably aren't.
Absolutely.
If not, haven't watched one of ours, what is your plan if appointed to become familiar with the city's planning commission processes?
So there are planning commissioners already, talking to the existing planning commissioners, getting the ideas on, how that works, going through the city website, just doing the investigation. I do a lot of investigation, what I do on a lot of projects now and stuff. So just doing that investigation, familiarizing myself with the whole process, and just trying to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so mine's kind of a two-part. I'm going to read it and then let you answer, then read the second part. What would you do as a planning commissioner if you were unsure of how to vote on a particular issue? That's the first part.
So if I was unsure on how to vote, maybe abstain from the vote, maybe ask for more information, just try to get more clarity.
Okay, that's good. How would you handle a decision that you did not agree with? Say they passed something, you didn't really care, you didn't vote for it.
Well,
How are you going to go for that?
That's, if you're outnumbered in the votes and it passes, there's not much you can do about it anyway. So, I suppose you could voice your opinion on, or your disagreement of it, but it's kind of as far as it can go if it's already passed.
If you were to sit on a city council ad hoc committee or subcommittee such as homelessness issues, commercial cannabis ad hoc, what would you do to prepare yourself for that assignment?
The same answer, you just have to familiarize yourself with what's going on, the projects, what's going on, who's involved, what the overall plan for the projects are. You just have to familiarize yourself with the whole thing, so you can make an informed decision on the outcome, so.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, sir, for your participation. Mine is the last question of the evening. And then you're welcome to stay in the gallery as we wrap up and deliberate. So last, you've talked a little bit about some of our projects and what you've seen. We'd like to hear from you, your vision for the future of Clearlake.
So my vision for the future of Clearlake, again, I feel that the housing issue is a major issue for, like I said, pretty much the whole state. I like seeing what I see so far. Getting people off the street should be a major objective, and so I think the city's going the right direction to combat that. And I know homelessness is more than just people without homes. There's mental health and everything else that occurs, but there are some people that just can't find homes, and I think you guys are on the right track on trying to solve some of them problems.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I guess you've surmised that Mr. Ramos appears not to have.
Yes, thank you. And I was going to mention that, Mr. Fleur, that on the record, Mr. Ramos did not appear to be interviewed. So we have 3 candidates.
Of course, you could still be welcome to
Right,
consider his
to
application.
consider him. We have his application, but he just wasn't here for the interview. Thank you for that. So now we will rank each of the candidates and submit those to the city clerk for tabulation. And we will do that now. Imagine the theme for Jeopardy right now. Or your pen? I forgot one. like to pass your votes over to me? Could you please play UPS?
Just gonna hand it down like we always do.
We have an answer.
I thought I shut it all off, but I don't know how I am. We need that music, so.
I know, right? Should have thought that through. Cue up the Jeopardy theme.
We'll have to do that next time. That would be good. Can't you do that real quick? You're good at that stuff.
I bet Thomas is listening to it back.
Tell Thomas he can edit this and put that on there when he redoes it.
Thomas can put this in for the YouTube video.
All right.
We have a tablet. We have an answer.
So let me just get these in order real quick. Okay, Councilmember Slotin ranked the candidates number 1, Mr. Inglis, number 2, Mr. Smalley, and number 3, Ms. DeWalt. Councilmember Overton ranked the candidates number 1, Mr. Smalley, number 2, Ms. DeWalt, number 3, Mr. Inglis, and number 4, Mr. Ramos. Mayor Purdock ranked the candidates number 1, Mr. Smalley, number 2, Mr. Inglis, number 3, Ms. DeWalt, and number 4, Mr. Ramos. Vice Mayor Claffey ranked the candidates number 1, Mr. Smalley, number 2, Mr. Inglis, number 3, Ms. DeWalt, and number 4, Mr. Ramos. And finally, Councilmember Kramer ranked the candidates number 1, Mr. Smalley, number 2, Ms. DeWalt, number 3, Mr. Inglis, and number 4, Mr. Ramos. So, based on the rankings, it looks like the first choice of the council is Mr. Smalley. The second choice is Mr. Inglis. The third choice is Ms. DeWalt, and then number 4 is Mr. Ramos. The council can then make their vote by motion and second to make the appointment as you see fit. In addition, we have current Planning Commissioner McCarrick as well. So there are 2 seats, so you can appoint by motion and second.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any further discussion? Any comment from the public? Please step up to the podium.
No, there's no applications. This is it. You had to put it in
The
already.
application process is closed.
Right, that was just my question.
All right, thank you. Any hands in the Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Very well. Bring it back to the council for deliberation and action.
Mr. Mayo had his hand up.
Oh, I apologize.
I caught you in the middle of that.
Mr. Mayo, please.
Members of the council,
It's on.
okay.
On.
Members of the council, I'm glad to see how you're handling the selection process, because being a planning commissioner in this community is a very important task. It's almost as next to being a member of the city council, because the planning commission is quasi-judicial body. And trying to adapt the right person for that, you understand, is a very difficult job. And I applaud both of you, all of you together, for trying to make the best decision you can for our city. As a prior planning commissioner here, it's a big job. A lot of studying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Please. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I did clarify an email to City Manager Flora and City Clerk that I'm not running. So I didn't know if that was confusing or not, but I'm not. You don't really run; you apply. So I just
Thank
wanted
you for
to
that
clarify
clarification.
that.
I appreciate
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
That might help us in our deliberation.
Okay.
Any other comments for the council? Seeing none, I'll bring it back for either deliberation, discussion, or a motion. Mr. Slotin.
Based on the vote tally, it thinks it's appropriate to move to appoint Mr. Jack Smalley and Chris Ingalls to the Planning Commission.
I have a motion by Mr. Slotin.
Second?
I have a second by Vice Mayor Claffey. We're moving on to our automated voting system. Aye.
Motion passes with the unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone who participated, and thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Ms. McCarrick, truly appreciate your time on the commission.
I think it was a difficult vote. I think, Mr. Smalley, your background in the county, you were able to answer a lot of questions that I knew that we needed to be answered. I think you probably hit the ground running a little better. My vote between Mr. English and Ms. DeWalt, I had you extremely close. Ms. DeWalt, you've been in the city lived here longer. Been working in the community longer. I had a slight edge for you, to be honest. But the two of you were very close, and I think either one of you would have done a fine job. But congratulations, Mr. English, on your selection.
And I just want to say, please come back and apply again. We're going to,
Absolutely.
there will be additional positions available, and we really, really want to encourage community members to come and become active, to participate in our meetings. It's great having all of you here. Only a couple of you, I think, are being paid. So anyway, really appreciate people being here and seeing about the city's business. Mr. Vice Mayor, do you have a comment?
No, thank you. Three incredible candidates. I appreciate you all taking the time, studying up, watching the meetings, and trying to get involved. There's so much need within our community for folks like you to raise your hand and step up, and I thank you for doing that today.
Gotta say, it was a tough call for me to pick. Yeah, to pick. Any other comments?
No, I hope there's always planning commissions, seminars and conferences where you learn a lot. It's sometimes tricky to play by the right rules, so you're going to learn that too, because that's the other part of it that you have to be aware of. So I'm sure that these candidates will excel in their position on the planning commission. Thank you for your service already.
Thank you all very much. All right, moving on now to item 7 of our business, consideration of resolution 2023-14, opposing voter initiative 21-0042A1 as proposed by the California Business Roundtable. Mr. Flora.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, council members, so this is an extremely important initiative, and there's going to really be a very coordinated kind of assault on this one from local government in California. So there's a lot of information that's been provided. Hopefully you've reviewed it. So this is one that's going to be difficult for the general public really to understand because of things like the title of this, the Taxpayer Protection and Government Accountability Act. Who isn't for that, right? And California Business Roundtable, what is that? And so we actually included a list of all the major corporations that make this up. But, to kind of summarize some of the major provisions, this would dramatically change fees, penalties, other revenue measures, and the way that jurisdictions such as the city can enact them. Just a few quick examples. Our administrative citation process and administrative penalties that have been critical to our code enforcement efforts and incentivizing folks to clean up their properties and make sure that they're consistent with the requirements of the municipal code. Our ability to enact those type of penalties would be changed. We've had workshops, and the city's interested in potentially growing its boundaries. So this would require, once an annexation happens, for special revenue measures, such as Measure V and Measure P, any properties that are within a new annexation area, in order to collect the sales tax from those properties, we would have to put Measure P and Measure V back on the ballot again. And just a lot of things that, would really complicate and hinder the way we do business. So this has been attempted. I think this is the third time it's been attempted to be on the ballot. They almost made it last year. Consistent with our policy on league positions. We had the mayor send a letter opposing that, but the League of Cities wants to have a resolution from every council in the state of California, and I expect that they're going to be successful in doing that. This is not one that jurisdictions really have varying opinions on. So anyway, that's kind of the overview here. We're going to hear a lot more about this, over the next year, and there's going to be a lot of effort put in to fighting this, because this is going to if it passes, will dramatically change the way that we do business.
It seems to me it's another attempt to take away local jurisdiction.
Well, yeah, it is a local control issue for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Any questions, Madam Councilmember.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I read through this a lot, and this would be so detrimental to our city, and probably most small cities definitely would be. And the idea that we would have to, if we wanted to do any enlargement, take something back to the voters is just critical. But what I'm worried about is, I mean, like, we're gonna have to take this on. This is not something that we can just send a letter and say, that's it. We need to have a plan on this one, because I think if it goes on again, it's very possible that this one will pass this time. And so, I mean, I think if we're gonna do this, we need to step up and say, we're gonna really fight this. We need to be able to, do like we did with Measure V and Measure P, and really, have the information out there and really push it. Get these people on the community radios and stuff like that to discuss it. We can't just say we're gonna write a letter, because that's not gonna do enough. I mean, that's great to put it up there, but that's not gonna do anything to the public. This is gonna go on the ballot, and we need to really realize that if we don't fight this, this is going to pass up almost positive if we don't really fight it. If the cities don't really step up this time. It did not fail for that much before. So I'm afraid that if we're gonna I'm totally against this. I think this would be like so critical to us, and any smaller cities it would, definitely be. So I just say that we've got to make a decision. I'm all for definitely writing the letter, but we also need to put ourselves in there and say, we are going to put our efforts into fighting this. Otherwise, if this passes, there's just so much that's going to hurt us here in Clearlake, in most small towns anyway. Most every town's going to hurt.
Mr. Slotin.
Yeah, this is obviously trying to take local control away. It would hamper any kind of development or any kind of growth to the city. So that's obviously no. This should never have gotten this far to start with.
And that could be the way we push it to the people. You like what we're doing? It will stop.
Any other council comments? Any comments from the community? Anybody here? Mr. Mayo.
This initiative, the first time I'm hearing about it. I'm sure it's been around since Moby Dick was a minnow, but.
No, it's new.
Oh, it's brand new?
Well, it's a new version of it.
Okay.
Several early.
Not new? New?
It's a new version of several old ones.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah, it's been
It's
around.
one of those epiphany moments that some state lawmaker came up with?
Oh, this is done by none of the legislators.
Okay. Enough information, I believe, has to be assimilated to the public, so the public completely understands what they gonna lose in this from the local level. If the information isn't precise so people can understand what they have to lose by this passing in the local community, like vital services, for instance. The community being able to grow financially with putting in some new shopping centers. Well, we don't do shopping centers anymore, I forgot. But bringing in keeping the city economic viable. The public needs to be able to understand that. And I think getting enough information out, and would the city manager be the one, would you be the one, Alan, that would just, okay.
Actually, we're having this, Mr. Mayo, to try to make it public, to foster these discussions. As president of the NAACP, perhaps you could take this to your membership, share it in a newsletter if you have such a periodical or something, so people can make informed decisions. So we're asking all of our community leaders to get involved.
Well, I was thinking about inviting the rock star over here. That's the city manager. I'll always kid with him, but to bring him to one of our Zoom meetings before our membership, and he would be the better one to explain that than I. So
No question.
I have no problem with that. Inviting you to one of our meetings.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to address the council on this item? Please come forward. Any hands on the Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Overton?
As most times, districts, so that you know, most time, the California city will put out what used to be called the League of Cities, will put out bullet points on so that, you know, there's certain topics that, so that we all stay on track on saying basically consistently the same thing and not having one city saying one thing and another city saying something different that may not quite grow. So they normally send out a pretty good bullet point, things that we can talk about and you know, so that we stay on those kind of tracks, so it's not misinformation out there, but that the people get the right information. But I mean, it's critical services we could lose if we decided to expand the city and had to put, say, Prop P back, Prop V, and they didn't get voted in, then we lose our police department, basically a lot of it, and we'd lose our roads, you know, abilities. And those are the things that we would want to put out to our community that could happen if this went through. So those are the type of things, but there'll be bullet points, and hopefully we, like you said, make sure that we go to the meetings, to our civic clubs and to our radio station people that we know that have radio shows and stuff like that, and hopefully they'll help us get the word out and get it out in the correct way.
Thank you. Any other comments from council?
All
All right.
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
Well, yeah, I just want to make sure that this is a very misleading proposition, as Mr. Flora pointed out. It's title alone. We've seen those pass because unfortunately an uninformed electorate reads the title of the proposition. It sounds fluffy and nice, so they vote for it, not recognizing the ramifications of that vote. So again, I echo Councilmember Overton's sentiments and support the adoption of this resolution. Do we have a motion?
As do I. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I absolutely agree with Councilwoman Overton's comments on what we should do going forward. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-14 and read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake opposing voter initiative 21-0042A1 proposed by the California Business Roundtable.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Councilmember Slutin.
Beat you to it.
Well, I agree with that. It's like the same.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Voting, we have to.
Oh, what happened to it?
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Well, there you have your answer, Mr. Flora. All right, moving on to final moments of our open meeting, so the city manager and council member reports. Mr. Flora, would you like to lead it off?
Sure. Just a few items. Was able to officially sign the California State Parks grant this week. The grant agreement is for the $3 million for the Burns Valley Sports Complex, so that's continuing to move forward. There's a few sort of algae mitigation projects on the lake that are in the process. As you know, we're working on the one over here across from the beach, and the majority of that project has been completed, but there's a few items that are still remaining. You may have seen that the curtain has been shifting around a bit, and they're waiting on some additional anchoring devices that are needed for that. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, that will be completely finished up. And then there's a couple of other sort of pilot projects that have kind of came out of the Blue Ribbon Committee, and unfortunately there was an expectation for some significant state funding to be allocated to some projects there, but with the state budget situation, sounds like it's unlikely for there to be much there. But because of the issues that we normally have sort of in the lower arm, because of wind currents and so forth, it's most likely that those projects that do happen, the pilot projects, are going to be along our shoreline and including at Redbud Park. So we're poking around trying to find maybe some other funding sources because the technology seems quite interesting. anyway, just, we'll see how that moves forward, but hopeful that we can get a couple of those things tried out in addition to the project that we're installing. So, I just wanted to give a real significant thanks to our Public Works crew. As you know, over the last week, we had quite the unexpected storm event, and they, I think, have done a miraculous job under Ms. Leva's leadership in getting things cleaned up as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, there sounds like there's the possibility of a similar type of event Saturday and Sunday, so trying to be prepared for that. I would point out that, we're hoping it doesn't develop quite like last time, but I did talk to Sheriff Howell today, and we are preparing for using the senior center as a shelter if necessary, again, like we did a little bit last week. I don't want to get ahead of any of the details, but sort of related to the last event, and if we do have any more significant tree issues, we've had, a number of limbs down on private property. Unfortunately, this week we've seen a number of folks, instead of taking responsibility for those limbs, are throwing them into the public right of way and expecting our Public Works crew to come and clean that up. So that's unfortunate, and we want to definitely discourage strongly that type of behavior. But in order to try and help the community, we are coordinating with Clearlake Waste Solutions and are planning on having an event hopefully next weekend where we're going to have code enforcement and our public works staff available across the street with some dumpsters, and folks will be able to stop and drop off those, and we'll chip them into the dumpsters. So that's the current plan. We'll be pushing more information out on that. So if you do have some limbs on your property, please don't throw them into the right of way. If you can hold on to them for a few more days, we'll do our best to help, get those out of your yard. So, but it's impossible for our public works crew to get things done if we're going around trying to clear the roadways from those limbs. And then I'm sure you all know this, but just wanted a reminder that on Saturday at the Senior Center is a celebration of life for our senior maintenance worker, Robert Viramonte. So hopefully we'll see some of you there.
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Councilmember Kramer.
Yes, I want to echo your words about our staff. They were phenomenal in responding to this last week's weather event. I'm glad to see that we're offering the senior center again to Sheriff Howe and OES if in fact we have a repeat, which I hope we don't. Meetings that I went to since the last council meeting, we had a short APC meeting earlier this week. I also attended RRA meeting, Risk Reduction Authority meeting. Only thing I want to say out of that, it's time of the year they're asking that each jurisdiction that's a member of the RRA support it with an amount of $5,000 per jurisdiction. The county is going to be supporting it with a $22,000 donation. I think a number of our other jurisdictions have already approved that. I would hope that Clearlake would also support that with the $5,000. They've got improvement. The RRA still has improvement to be made in its actions, but I think we are getting better and making more of a difference. Also had several Clearlake Chamber Board Marketing Committee meetings and other meetings that have been going on. And last but certainly not least is Lower Lake Community Action Group's Crab Chipino dinner tomorrow night. I know a number of you have tickets for it, and it's going to go on snow or shine. So that's all I have.
Kept building up, I hope.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Councilmember Overton.
Well, last night I partially attended a EPA community outreach at the center last night. I'm really kind of disappointed that our public really doesn't get involved in that because it's really important. And, but you can still go online and make your comments, and I hope people do. It was very interesting. Unfortunately, like I said, there wasn't too many, but the ones that were there had really good input, and I felt like they really listened and thanked them for their input, and even admitted that they taught them something. So that's kind of nice, which that doesn't happen. They don't live here, so just we can't say, oh, good, they're there. But yeah, so but I want to thank them for coming in and trying to get things out. Really not very many, like 3 or 4. So it wasn't really, it was really, sad because we are in a really EPA environment too. I mean, they want to talk about Sulphur Bank. They wanted to talk about Elam. They wanted to, talk about different things, and there really wasn't enough people to inform them of the information that I think we're searching for, but we can still do it online. Their section is still open, so I hope they go online. Everybody goes online and try to make your opinions on, or let them know what's going on here. For $50,000 for each senior center to do some, was that our ARPC? Our ARPA grant. So and I didn't really, I met today with, as a new board member for a couple of hours today to try to get myself brushed up. Have to go contact those people and like this, the community to come down to the senior center. We started, and you get 2 choices of entrees, and if you're sick, to the public for $10, so you can get. And our event is on the 25th. So we are asking all our participate. Any of you guys would like to come watch how we do the Meals on Wheels, go out on. It gives you just really, and even the supervisor, important these centers are. The senior center, ours is. I handled warming center. Are we open? Is there anybody to come clean my? We were there. I was there answering phones. I did send my staff because it started snowing again after we went back. I sent them back home. Then a senior center there. We really are a community center at whole. We'll service anybody. So we try to help out all we can. And once we've been lucky enough for this funding to come through the state and federal, but it's going away. And then we're right back to having to need the community support. So I really do hope that you guys support our events and come and have a good time and, do something good for our community. I think it'll be, you'll see, you can meet some of our Meals on Wheels drivers and stuff, but come and participate on sometime this month, set a date, come and to go out on a route and see how it works. They work very hard on this stuff. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slotin.
As you know, I was out of the state for a while, so I don't have a whole lot. The only thing I did was able to talk to people from our Assemblywoman Cecilia Aguilar Curry that she's sponsoring again a constitutional amendment. I think it's number 1, which is try to lower the threshold for special bond measures to 55% instead of 66 and a third. So.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, sir. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Just wanted to announce that the Rotary Seafood Boil is now rescheduled to the 18th of March, Saturday the 18th. Proceeds will go to help support our youth center. So looking forward to having a great event there. And I want to echo the comments already made. Thank you to our Public Works team, to our fire department, to everyone who was involved over the weekend. Incredible work done. Thank you for making this city continue to run day in and day out.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I want to echo those sentiments. I've got great staff. Mr. Flora, thanks for leading the ship. Appreciate you keeping us on course. Same for you, Chief. Appreciate that and appreciate your staff. Went to the Area Planning Council. It was rather. The county did call a meeting for the city mayor. Mr. Slotin, I continued your. I believe you're still on the air.
Did.
Yeah. Didn't you?
Did you